Hello and welcome to We Are the Ville, the Westerville City Schools podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Amato. This podcast is designed to take you behind the scenes to showcase how our schools operate and highlight our amazing programs and students. Welcome back and thank you for joining us for episode 10. Today we have a real special guest that is joining us for our last episode of 2025. Not only do we call her Superintendent of Westerville City Schools, but she also is the leader upon leaders, the mom of 3 amazing kids, my next door office buddy, and most importantly, the queen of calling snow days. Please welcome Superintendent Angie Hamberg. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I got to start off before we really get into the seriousness of, the district and how we're doing and what we are looking forward to. I have to start off with a story of why several students actually call you the Queen of Snow Days. So the beginning of this year, my daughter goes to Genoa Middle School, and Superintendent Hamberg stopped by, was hanging out at their lunch, she's bopping around to all these different buildings. And a lot of kids were coming up to her and being like, are you going to cancel school? Are we going to have a snow day? Are you going to cancel school? And when my daughter got home, I asked her, I was like, oh, the superintendent was at your school today. I go, did you say hello? And she's like, no. And I go, well, I got a picture of you and her together. And she's like, oh, that was the superintendent? And I was like, yes. And she goes, I thought she was just the person that called snow days. And I'm like, kid, no. So
it definitely seems to be the most popular thing I do with the kids. Yes. And I always tell them I get lots of help on that. And most importantly, the weather has to help or you're definitely not getting a snow day.
Right. We cannot call snow days when it's 80 degrees outside and sunny.
But I was asked by several kids when I stopped by North on the very first day of school if we'd be getting a snow day soon. I said we would have a greater chance of getting a heat day at that point. It was 90-some degrees.
Yeah.
But yes, they do love their snow days.
Yes. And we tell you, there is even an Instagram account out there that praises Superintendent Hamberg of calling snow days. So this is where she kind of gets her name and we have some fun with it. But yeah, I just had to share that story of how this all kind of came about.
Well, I have to say that, we haven't really had a snow day that the rest of Central Ohio didn't also have off.
Right.
Which I remind the kids of. But also, when they beg for them and it's like today and it's not bad out at all, I said, guys, if I call a snow day today, I probably would lose my job and wouldn't be able to feed my kids. And then you'd feel really bad. So... Right. So there's that, and then they get a little perspective.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. They, kids need the perspective of aspect of if I do this, then this will happen. So anyway, but seriously, what a first half of the school year it has been. Starting the big picture this year so far on the district side, it has mostly been educating the community on the ballot issue that passed in November, correct?
Definitely been where I have spent a lot of my time, as well as our treasurer. We had a lot of great community volunteers that helped us with that effort as well. And certainly very grateful and appreciative and relieved that passed so that we can focus on our regular work and our core business of meeting our kids' needs and educating them.
Yeah, and besides passing of that ballot issue, what has been the most proud of so far this year that you've kind of experienced?
So 2 things that stand out. I mean, I could name so many things. Obviously, we have, over 14,500 kids and 25 buildings and so much going on. But when we look big picture, really proud of the multi-tiered systems of support that we've been working on throughout the district. And Kate Toma, our curriculum director, and her team is doing an outstanding job of really aligning that work. And it really centers around making sure that we are using data to make sure kids are getting what they need at all levels. That applies to academics, behavior, social emotional learning. And I think we've just made some major strides in that space. And I'm really excited to see what comes next in that work. The other piece that just in my own personal work that I really enjoy, we've been really trying to focus on We Are the Ville. Mm-hmm. And looking at how do we pull our schools together. When I first started back in March of 2024 as the interim superintendent, I had an opportunity to interview several people in the district. And I kept seeing this recurring theme about how a lot of the buildings were kind of operating in silos. And sometimes it felt like that we were a system of schools instead of a school system, and really looking for some unity throughout. And so we've been doing a lot of work of trying to pull people together, get more on the same page. We have a lot of room to grow, in lots of areas. But excited for the progress we've had with getting aligned on some things and getting our kids together We bring our superintendent's advisory kids together so that they get some time to grow as leaders. And then also we have done some other work in this We Are the Ville space through our athletic leaders. Becca Yanni has really helped as the coordinator of our related arts and extracurriculars with providing kids with opportunities to do that. I'm excited have some plans in the works to start looking at some superintendent advisory work with the middle schoolers and getting to know them better, but just really trying to develop those leaders and the relationships between the schools. So those are just two areas. Lots of wonderful things happening out in our buildings. Your team does a great job of highlighting that in the news and announcements, all the individual accomplishments of buildings and classrooms and programs, but I think just holistically, very excited about the MTSS work moving forward and the We Are the Ville initiative that we've been working on.
Yeah, and you always say one of the best things about being a superintendent is you get to go out to the buildings and actually see what the staff and students are doing. You say a lot of the times it fills your bucket, So what have you seen this year that really reflects who we are as a district and fills your bucket?
So from a personal standpoint of filling my bucket, this is one of the many, many reasons that I'm grateful that the ballot issue passed, because I am getting more time, and I've really set aside from the election until the winter break to really try to get out in the buildings. I have a sign-up link that staff members can go on my calendar and sign up for slots that they might have things going on that they want to invite me into the classroom to see. And so I've really been focusing on that. That's an ongoing link, but that's been a big push of mine just here at the end of the calendar year. And during that time, I've gotten to serve lunch at all 3 levels. Gotten to ride in one of our My Van routes for the elementary. I have been in a couple of different squid dissections in our elementary classrooms. And I'll tell you, I remember struggling in freshman biology with dissecting, and these third graders, they are all about dissecting the squid. It was really fun to watch, but just the learning come to life with being able to see all those body systems in the squid for them. So that was really cool. The other thing that was neat about the squid dissection, I was able to go to Hanby and McFay, both for that. It's just the number of parent volunteers that came in and supported that.
Sure.
Because let me tell you, you need a lot of parent volunteers to have third graders dissecting squids. So just really appreciative of our community family support as they come in and help with that. Today I just was at an EL culture fair and got to try some foods that some of the kids brought in from their different countries. Got to help with holiday bowling at Hanby. Been down at Minerva, France, reading this week. I've done a lot of classroom reading, which is a lot of fun. At the elementary level, we have morning meetings where the kids really work on developing a classroom culture, and I've gotten to participate in that. Some of our first graders were working on speaking in complete sentences, talking about what they like about cold weather, and I shared that I like sitting in front of the fireplace with a warm beverage, and that was a little different from their snow angels and all those things. But just a lot of fun to get out and see the student engagement, to see the staff go above and beyond to create fun learning experiences for our kids, and to see the community engagement in our classrooms.
Yeah, I think that's a big part, and one, that we'll continue to reflect on. And, that brings us up to a good question of moving forward. So what can students, families, and staff expect in the second half of the year as we head towards the end of the school year and graduation?
So I think at a district level, we are going to continue to move that MTSS work forward. So at the elementary, the academic framework is really well underway. They're having great conversations about all kids, their data, what they need to do, regardless if it's a child who's not at level or if they've already mastered that grade level content. But they've also pushed into looking at behavior. And one of the things that I think is a nice shift, even when I think back to when I was a kid, is there's just a lot more of an emphasis on how do we intentionally teach that behavior. So instead of just giving discipline for kids not behaving the way we want them to, how are we gauging where there might be deficits in their behavior, and then how are we intentionally teaching those pieces? And so seeing a lot of growth with that at our elementary level, looking to continue that on into the secondary. And I think just, continuing to really work, now that we've gotten through the ballot issue, one of my big goals as superintendent, since I don't have to focus on that, is really assessing where are some areas we can grow with our community engagement. Obviously, a lot of that overlaps with your department, but how do we communicate even better? What are some ways we can look through some committees and different opportunities for our community members to be involved and become more knowledgeable about all the great things happening?
Yeah, I'm part of the Westerville leadership class that's going through, and we got this one day we got to bring in business leaders from all around Westerville to come in and see our schools, and then listening to them talk about how cool it was to actually see what was going on and what the kids were learning and how the principals were interacting and the teachers. It was just so heartwarming to kind of hear, and I wish we could do more of that. And I hope to do more of that as we kind of continue on in the second half of the school year and, school years beyond, because it was just so fascinating and great to learn about how these people viewed a building when they went to elementary school 20 years ago to what it is now.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to kind of really bringing the community more into our schools than we have. And
absolutely.
What's one thing that you hope every student kind of experiences before the school year ends?
I think at a high holistic level, it would be a sense of belonging. That's our slogan, but it's really how do we live that? How do we make sure that all kids have something in our schools and someone in our schools that they are able to connect with? I think that's incredibly important. We know that if kids are not having their basic needs met, if they're not feeling connected, so when we talk about their needs, it's not just those physical needs, it's also those emotional needs, that they're feeling safe and secure in their schools. And that's when we really see that explosion with learning. And so, I think as all these great things that we're working on, just making sure we continue to evaluate and measure and make sure that our kids are having opportunities to be connected and to have a great experience. Mentioned it earlier, but just really grateful to our community for the support on the ballot issue, because as we talked about some of those things that were at risk of having to be cut because we didn't have the money to pay for them, a lot of those things are those pieces that get kids up in the morning, that they want to come to school and experience, that fill their buckets. And so just really excited to be able to continue to offer that programming, continue to improve it. We're certainly not in a place where we can just make all these expansions. The money that we secured on the ballot issue is really to maintain our programming, but we're always going to look at how can we improve what we have. And so I'm excited to continue to do that work with our team.
Yeah, and as we wrap up, is there a message you'd like to share directly with our staff, families, and community as we say goodbye to the first half of the school year and head into the second?
I just want gratitude again. I know, it's the season, I think, when we do take time to pause and be grateful. I just really have enjoyed this last month, getting out and spending a lot of time with our kids. And one of the things that makes our district so special is that we have such a diverse population of kids that come from a variety of backgrounds, and to watch them interact and to learn about them, their cultures, their dreams, is just very humbling for me. And I'm extremely grateful to be able to get up and do this job every day where I get to interact with such awesome kids. So I just want to thank the community for their support and wish everyone a very restful, relaxing holiday season. And we're excited to get back after it in 2026. Happy New Year.
Well, amazing. And thanks again, Superintendent Hamberg, for joining us. And we can't wait to see and learn about all the great things our students will do in the new year. So that's it for this episode. We'll be back again soon in 2026. Until then, happy holidays, happy New Year's, stay safe, and remember, we are the Ville.